Glad we were going on the road and able to get a win against a tough Michigan Tech team. Got off to a fast start. I think we're up 34-7. Kicked the field goal at the end of the half to get us to 37-7. So that start, we talked about this as a team yesterday, was directly attributed to the work our coaching staff did early in the week and the preparation of our players. I thought it was a great marriage of our coaching staff and our players working together to try to put together a game plan with some of these injuries and reshuffling the deck a little bit to put some players in position to make some plays. So we got off to a very fast start. Even in the second half, we got some stops and we're still doing well. And then the end of the third, the kickoff return for the touchdown, kind of changed the momentum a little bit. And then I just think our special teams didn't pick up really our offense and defense like it needed to. I think the first 4 games we've been playing really well on offense, and our special teams have been playing well, and our defense have been disappointing. I felt like our defense has been continuing to improve. Obviously played better on Saturday, and our offense still maintained their standard, but we saw a little bit of dip in our special teams play, so we've got to kind of check that out. But defensively we headed into that game wanting to stop the run and not let LaChapelle beat us, their tight end. He's their best receiver. If they're going to make some plays, we're going to try to force Tyler Scarlett to throw it to some other receivers. And so in the first half, I thought we did a great job of stopping the run and getting off the field on third down. And then, in the second half, we didn't do as good job getting as much pressure on the quarterback, and some of those other guys did beat us. Some of the other receivers did beat us. So, as we look back upon the defensive game plan, I thought we did a good job, and then the game got to a point where it got away from what we kind of prepared for, and it was a little bit more him throwing to some other targets, and we struggled to adjust to that, quite honestly. And there was also a little bit of thought process with that big of a lead there late third and fourth, not to get too aggressive on the defensive side of the ball and give them a big play and get them back into it. So we were playing a little bit soft and allowing them to complete some things that way. Offensively, I thought our offensive staff did a great job of mixing up the way we were attacking their defense. Obviously, we felt like their secondary hadn't really been tested, so we were able to get CJ in some positions on some balls down the field. And, Darryl Pitts has been stepping up and playing well. And then I think Isaiah likes to throw the ball over the middle a little bit, so you're seeing Brandon Green and Jamie Potts get involved some too, more in the passing game. And then for a couple young guys that, quite honestly, are probably 4th and 5th on our depth chart, I thought Kurt Spencer had a huge amount of weight placed on his shoulders, heading into a huge ball game on the road. I thought he played well, and I thought Ben Hutchins played really well too. And so we were kind of attacking him on the outside with some Billy Seiler and some Brandon Green fly sweeps, and then trying to hit him inside with Spencer and Hutch, and then try to throw a ball down the field. And handled that real well. Obviously, a big credit to our offensive line. Isaiah Grimes was not touched, was not sacked. And they were able to, it was tough sledding at times. It would open up some running lanes for those backs. And then, I can't say enough about Isaiah. He just looked a lot more comfortable in his second college start and, operated well. So, special teams can't give up a kickoff return for a touchdown. I know their return man was good, but you look back on the tape, there was 4 missed tackles on that play. Reggie's been a great performer for us, but he's got to do a better job with ball security on the kickoff return. Our punt team has been, somewhat effective, but we shanked one straight out of bounds and didn't set up our defense with field position. And then obviously at the end, we get a field goal blocked, and that really wasn't on the kicker, the snap, though the kick. Our protection broke down on that one, and then we missed an extra point. You make that extra point in the first half, that's a 9-point ball game. It's not a one-possession game at the end of the deal. And so just disappointed that our special teams really let our team down and put our guys in some tough positions at the end of the game, which allowed them to kind of crawl back in it. But I tell you, Tyler Scarlett's a good player. They made some plays in the second half. I think the biggest thing coming out of that is that for the first 3 quarters, we made a lot of the routine plays. In the fourth quarter, we didn't make the routine plays. Dropped some critical balls that we need to make, okay? Coverage wasn't great, not great man technique, missing some tackles, poor ball security. Some of the routine stuff that could have got us out of that game with a more comfortable margin of victory, we weren't doing some of the routine stuff in the fourth quarter. And so that probably more than anything was the biggest message heading forward. But our defense is improving. We held a very strong rushing attack, I think, to 30-some yards. And some of that has to do with the score, and it got out of hand. But we did not allow them to run the ball at all in the first half. So that was a good road win. That's the whole thing about it. It wasn't pretty. I think with a lot of these injuries that occurred head into the game, with some of these injuries that occurred throughout the course of the game, we had more guys go down. That's what we're going to be. I mean, it's not. They're not going to be pretty. They're going to have to fight and scratch and claw and stay resilient, and keep showing up. And told the guys heading that game, got to find a way to get to 5-0. This week we got a very tough test with Ferris State. It's going to be a big atmosphere. We just got to find enough way to make some plays, try to get us to 6-0, and hopefully we start to get some of these guys back and start to get them back healthy to get a little bit more balance with our depth on both sides of the ball. So Ferris is 3-2. They played an NAIA school for their opener, and then have played 4 Division II opponents and are 2-2 in Division II. Had a heartbreaker over at Saginaw Valley for Saginaw Valley's homecoming. They had the lead, gave up the lead in the fourth quarter, and then lost in overtime. There's their potent rushing attack on offense. They run an option-based scheme. That's going to put a lot of challenge on our defense. A lot of moving parts. It's not maybe a traditional double slot option attack we face. There's a lot more variability to what they do in the rushing attack, so it's going to put some pressure on us. Their defense has had some moments where they've looked, dominant. They've had some other times where they've given up some yardage and given up some passing yardage and done some different things. So, same theme though. Grand Valley football. We've got to stop the run. We got to be able to run the ball, not turn the ball over. We got to win the turnover margin, and play good field position football. And a lot of that's going to come back again to our special teams, and we got to get our special teams working. I think part of the reason special teams let us down a little bit, some of our depth issues are starting to have an effect on those units also. That a guy like Chuck Hill, who's a really good kickoff guy, because of our depth at linebacker, we chose not to put him on the kickoff team because I just don't want to give him hurt running down there and try to save him a little bit for defense, and it's having an effect. So we've got to look at all those components and make some big picture decisions with all of our personnel regarding special teams, offense, and defense with the availability of players, which, again, we're not going to know about some of those guys because we're day-to-day. Other than, Heath Parling's done for the year, Chris Robinson's done for the year. A lot of these other guys are just, going to be day-to-day things and kind of see where they're at as we get closer to game time.
Coach, you talked about some of those younger players who have gotten in and kind of gotten their feet wet and been part of the reason you guys have been winning lately. How valuable is it to have those guys be able to step in and not really miss a beat like Kirk Spencer? Very
impressed with our younger players. I mean, 3 weeks ago, Ben Hutchins isn't on that bus, and I thought Ben Hutchins at the tailback position played real well. 3 weeks ago, Kirk Spencer is our third tailback, and as a situational tailback where we don't put a lot on his plate, we put a lot on Kirk Spencer's plate. I mean, we put a lot mentally on his plate. And neither one of those guys shied from that moment. Jamie Potts, huge catch on a third down. I mean, huge catch. Great pass by Isaiah. Great call by our offensive guys. Big catch. Another freshman that's not shying away from that moment. I put a tremendous amount of pressure on Brad Horling on that game plan. I mean, we had him doing a lot of different things. But, you're talking about 2 undefeated ranked teams. They had a large crowd up there. I mean, it was a pretty hostile environment. I was proud of the way some of those younger guys just kind of stepped in and played. And I tell you, Lucas Kozu, and I know he's a junior, but he hasn't played a ton here other than being our long snapper. But he was long snapper on punt, short snapper, and played about every snap on defense, and he was productive. Isaiah Dunning got in there, had tackle for loss, and was running around. I mean, we got some of these backup defensive linemen are getting pressed into action, and they're hanging in there. They're doing a good job. So, like I said, it speaks to, I think, the resiliency of our team and a little bit of the culture that's around this place and has been around this place and the tradition of Grand Valley football is these guys just next man in, kind of step in and do what they're coached and don't worry too much about
it. This is for Tim and for Charles. Can you talk a little bit about Ferris State, and especially for you, Tim, you played them a number of years now, and how that rivalry is and how it's perceived among the players?
Yeah, it's a pretty big rivalry. It's definitely a star next to their name every year when we look at the schedule. They're definitely a really good team. They're really good coached. They're very physical up front on defense. The defensive line is, their linebackers are pretty good. So every year we look forward to playing them, and it should be a good matchup this year.
Yeah,
I'm really not aware, but I've heard that from around the locker room that it's a pretty big rival. So, I mean, we look forward to playing them.
Charles, then you obviously on offense, you're one of the seniors on the team, and same with you, Tim. You guys have seen these young guys coming on offense, and even you've seen them on the other side of the ball in defense. What do you guys, when you look at these younger guys and see that they can step in and be a big part of your success? What does that say about your team and the guys that are surrounding those young guys?
I mean, they come to practice every day just like we do. Just because their age is a little bit younger than what we are, it doesn't matter. They're still getting the same reps we're getting, the same type of feel that we're getting out there each day in practice, same looks and everything. So when they step and make plays, I mean, it's going to be good for the future of our program.
Yeah, same what Chuck was saying, and then also too is a testament to our coaching staff too that they put the guys in good positions, and you have consistent coaching through practice. Like the same coaching you get from Coach Brown, from Chris to Ben Hutchins is no difference whatsoever. So consistency through coaching is huge.
Matt, can you talk a little bit more about Ferris State and just the change in their program under Tony Neese? I mean, it seems like they're doing a lot of different things from a year ago, but they have some of the same players. How big of a change is that?
Well, I think that anytime you have a new coaching staff, it doesn't matter what institution it's at, there's going to be a breath of fresh air. There's going to be just a new outlook, a new culture. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that we've seen is that the change in the coaching staff that occurred from last fall to this fall has just brought a more positive light on their football program and made them more relevant. No doubt hiring a head coach that has some ties to West Michigan has also helped in that too, that there's familiarity within the fan base of Big Rapids here, Ferris State, Big Rapids, and heading down south, that there's more people that know the new coach as opposed to hiring somebody that they didn't know. And so I think that brings that air of excitement. So I think that's to be expected anytime you get a new coach. There's always this honeymoon period that you kind of go through. I went through it. Every new coach is a little bit just kind of excitement about things, and we have definitely felt that, and I think you see that on tape that the kids are excited to play. They have definitely bought into his system. You can tell that on tape that they believe in what they're doing on both sides of the ball, and I think that adds interest to this game. The new coaching staff adds interest to this game more so than maybe last year. I don't remember I think we played them a little bit later in the year, and I think we both had good records heading into that. So there's, again, both teams have had some tough competitive games. Coaching cliche, kind of throw the records out the window. There's a rivalry game with them being so close, and we have a trophy, and there's a lot of things that go into it. And it's just been more pronounced because of a new staff and some new energy up there.
You talked about their offense a little bit, Ferris, is that it's different. It's completely different from last year, and that it's moved from a kind of a spread to more of a hybrid veer. And when you look at that, it's kind of something you don't see every week. Is there a different type of plan that comes into something that is that unique for you as a defensive coach?
Yeah, there's going to be. It has to be, because it is non-traditional. It's not something that we typically obviously don't see throughout the course of spring ball and camp and have not seen up to this point. So you have to try to, we're in this process. We had this little bit last week of, all right, here's the schemes, here's the X's and O's that we think can fit in there. And then I think the biggest thing that's happened around with our coaching staff are who are the players that you're putting into those positions, and trying to, reshuffle your deck to try to make sure you have the right people in the right spot. But it's completely different than Northwood. I was defensive coordinator in 2009 when we played Carson Newman in the national semifinal to go to the national championship, and they ran a split back veer attack. This is way different than that too. So I think it's a little bit of a misnomer when everybody says option. There's a lot of different versions of it, and this is definitely something that's kind of new. And it's going to put some challenge on us because it's not the same stuff we've seen. And so I talked to us a little about preseason. That's definitely one of the challenges for our defense in the GLIAC. The GLIAC has changed tremendously, even in my 9 years here. There is a much deeper variance of offensive schemes than I can ever really imagine when you go and look at a lot of what the teams are doing, from a Saginaw to a Michigan Tech to a Hillsdale, just pace and how they attack you and who they attack you with. I mean, there are a lot. I mean, you got your Tiffins, and we faced Lake Erie last year, and that's an option-based team, but completely different. So college football has changed a lot, and the GLIAC has kept up with those changes. There's a lot of good coaches and a lot of different schemes that you see, and that puts a lot of pressure on your defensive coaching staff and consequently your defensive players in a short week to have to prepare for those things. And we'll have to come up with some different things than we have run up to this point to try to defend it.
And then is there anybody in that offense that you want to key in on? Maybe the quarterback. I know he's their leading rusher and obviously passer, but is there anybody in particular that showed success?
Well, in general, we're just getting into the whole thing, but Styler Stoker's a running back. He's a good player. He's been around. He was out last year with a knee injury and is back. And we've had quite a few NFL scouts come through our building, talking to some of our players, specifically 2 guys I'm flanked by. And they mentioned Stoker as the guy they're looking at in the league. Obviously, their quarterback has come in and kind of taken the league a little bit by surprise with his rushing attack. He's a redshirt freshman and from the Chicago area, and he had a big day against Saginaw. I think he rushed him 30 sometimes, something like that. And then they've got some kids out in the perimeter that they can throw some balls to too. So they, it's not like I think based on what I'm seeing up to this point, I don't think they're specifically trying to feature a specific player. They try to get balance at all the positions, and they're going to take what you give them a little bit. And because did the quarterback have a big day at Saginaw because they wanted him to have a big day? I don't necessarily think that was the case. I think that was based on the way Saginaw was playing a little bit of the option, that he was able to get more rushing yards in that attack. So that's kind of like us, just in a different light. Like, we try to get the ball to CJ. I think everybody knows that. But some of the other plays that some guys make somewhat depends on how you're getting defended, and I don't think that Ferris State is any different in that mentality.